Hello and welcome to another episode of Brand Retro. Today on the podcast, I have Karen Garza, who's the operations manager for Chuck Jones Center for Creativity. And today we're going to talk a little bit about their upcoming promotion, or I guess it would be their donation vehicle called Red Dot. So Karen, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, Mike. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Could you kick off and just tell us a little bit about the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity? I mean, I know we've talked about it on previous podcasts, but it's always a good refresher for somebody who's jumping in on this episode.
So the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity has a branding as a gymnasium for the brain. Exercising our brains in any number of ways has so many benefits, and there's a growing body of evidence of what those benefits are for everyone from youth to people on the autism spectrum to our seniors. So we provide creativity experiences using art and art activities to exercise the brain in various ways.
Yeah, so for a lot of people, it's an outlet to create art. It's an outlet to maybe get out and do some things that they're not typically doing. And it's a community. I mean, it's an ongoing event, but it's a community event, correct?
Red Dot specifically?
Just the different things that you guys do throughout the year. I mean, I know that with all the different places you are, like you'd mentioned, from, whether it's senior citizens or autism or whatever, there's a purpose-driven element behind what you guys are doing that's throughout the year. It's ongoing and it's touched a lot of lives.
Absolutely. Most of our activities, as you mentioned, are out in the community. We do after-school programs with the public school systems. We have a partnership with a local community organization where we do programs in their community centers. We have a relationship with an organization, a nonprofit that provides workshops for autism kids. And we have several senior center organizations all throughout Southern Orange County where we provide our activities to stimulate and exercise the brain. We also are starting to bring back some of our own programming, which unfortunately we suffered during the pandemic, like many organizations, and had to shut down all of our in-person programming. So we have a partnership now with the famous Bowers Museum to use one of their facilities to start bringing back some of our other community-based programs and low-cost art programs and those type of things. So we're very excited about that. And that leads to why this Red Dot fundraiser is so important to us. Fundraising was also dramatically impacted during the pandemic. So this is really our first kind of full-scale Red Dot that we've had for several years. We had scaled back versions and virtual only versions for a couple of years, but this one is really important to be able to allow us to continue to get out into the community and really transform lives with the programs that we're able to offer.
Yeah. So just brass tacks, what is Red Dot? Tell us about the event. When did it start? What's kind of the mission and the purpose behind it? I know that, and this is just my oversimplification of it, but I perceive it as it's the vehicle that kind of keeps you guys running, right? It's your way to create some money that supports the overall Center for Creativity.
Exactly. We're a very small nonprofit founded by Chuck Jones. It's really a family-based nonprofit. So every dollar that we raise is critically important to enable the mission of what we provide at the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity. And because we're small, we only have this one fundraiser per year that really funds us for the following year. And with this year's Red Dot is our 12th annual Red Dot. And the best way to describe it is as a fundraising art auction. But the premise is like nothing else that I've ever certainly seen. We are able to get donations from artists, some very famous, some not so famous, but very talented. And the art is donated to us anonymously. So the core concept is that people have to bid on artwork that they like, not necessarily bid on artwork by someone famous that they're collecting or famous that they know. And I'll never forget the first time I went to a Red Dot. I actually, it was back in 2014, and I was affiliated with the organization through their gallery business. And you walked into the room and you saw all this amazing artwork on all these walls, and the energy in the room and people looking at the artwork and bidding on what they loved was just electric. And then when people win a particular piece that they've gotten very attached to and they turn it over and they find out who the artist is, there's such excitement because sometimes people get a treasure. They might get something from a very famous artist, or sometimes we even pepper in different original pieces from Chuck Jones that they might not recognize because they think of him as an animator. So it's just really exciting. And it truly is a fundraising activity like no other. Most fundraisers are you have your dinners or you have your golf outings or those type of things. It really provides the people that participate a unique experience, and it's just a wonderful way for us to raise money to fund our mission.
So how do listeners find information about this? And I just want to add one more thing too, that like it's really cool what you guys are doing for the community. It's really cool what you guys are doing for the art community. And I believe it gives a unique opportunity and a unique way to raise some money and people get something out of it. So if you are
Yes,
an art collector, if you're just somebody that
yes,
appreciates art, you're going to, I mean, if you participate, you could potentially go home with something super cool. So
exactly.
I just want to throw that out there, but how can people follow along, get involved, or even participate in the auction side of things?
And before I answer that question, I'd like to add one more thing that's really
Yeah.
unique about Red Dot. One of the programs, or one of the services, I should say, that we offer through the center are private and semi-private art lessons. So Red Dot also creates a wonderful outlet for some of our private students as they prepare a piece to donate. And sometimes our private students create pieces that are just amazing that people think are being done by famous artists. So it's a really wonderful way for us to give additional encouragement and motivation to some of these aspiring artists and aspiring animators that come into our various programs. And that's an aspect we don't talk about as much, but I feel that when these students see their pieces being bid on and people getting excited about when they actually get that piece of art, it's a really magical moment.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's gotta be super exciting for those kids, because they're doing it as an after school thing, or maybe it's who knows, maybe it's something their mom and dad made them do or whatever it is.
Yes,
Now
exactly.
and now all of a sudden, they're part of this auction and they're getting, they're getting to see people get excited about the work that they just did.
And because of the connections and the impact that Chuck Jones has had on so many animators and famous animation directors that are currently producing very famous works, we will have several special guests at this year's Red Dot, as we often do. One of those is a gentleman named Eric Goldberg, who's a famous animator. He directed Pocahontas, he animated the genie in Aladdin, and he will be joining us virtually. And I've already heard back from several of our private students how excited they are that they're actually going to be able to see Eric on the screen because for many of these kids, he's one of their idols. So that's going to be fun too. And talking about the virtual element for just a moment, also of Red Dot, it started out as an in person event, which was wonderful and does create that excitement. But during the pandemic, we had to do the cliched pivot as well and learn how to do the Red Dot event as a virtual event. One of the blessings of that is now people can participate in the auction all around the country and, in fact, all around the world. Where previously, with only an in person event, it was limited to people here in Orange County. So this year, we're really having more of a hybrid event. So the best of both worlds, so to speak. And our in person event this year is also dedicated to appreciating both the artist and some of our sponsors. Without the artists being willing to put their time into creating these pieces, we couldn't have this fundraiser. So we thought, as our coming out of the pandemic and our first live event, we thought it was really important to appreciate the artists that have helped us through these 12 years continue this unique event. And to answer the question you asked earlier, the easiest way to get information about Red Dot is to go to our website, which is www.chuckjonescenter.org. All of the information about Red Dot is right on the homepage, along with a link to register to bid for the auction, as well as to buy tickets for the event.
Excellent. So can they go out to the website? Is there stuff they can see out there today in prep for the virtual event?
Yes, good question. Thank you for asking. Pre-bidding opened a couple weeks ago. So if they click on the link to register to bid, they will be able to see all of our amazing artwork. I will also I would also suggest that people like our Facebook page, our Red Dot Facebook page. We still are getting some amazing artwork in. So that's where we'll be posting when we add new items, as well as we add other special guests and other activities that are still in the works for the event itself.
Yeah, so everything that's out there, as awesome as it is today, there still potentially could be some surprises.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, Karen, for being on and talking Red Dot. I can't wait for the event, and I can't wait to kind of hear how it goes and what impact that you guys are making in the community.
And again, thank you for the invitation. It's something I love to talk about.
All right. Thank you, Karen. If you'd like to learn more about CyberDogs, share your thoughts, or even ask a specific question about this episode and or the brand retro mindset, contact me directly at mike@cyberdogsmarketing.com.